And, you know, there was a fella, Ronald Bailey, came to me a long time ago, and Gordon knows Ronald really well, and came to me a long time ago and said, you know, and I was giving him a little bit of money, and Ronald was doing great work as far as trying to help needy children and everything, and a bunch of people were. And he looked at me and he said, you know, you'd be the perfect Santa Claus. And would you do that? And I said, Ronald, if you'll get me a Santa Claus suit, because I thought he'd never be able to pull it off, I'll do it. And then I started thinking about it, and I said, no, Ronald, tell you the truth, I better get my own suit. Because if you get me something, I'll look like I'm in spandex. Now, but let me just tell you this. On one of my trips there, you know, a lot of the kids there were really hurt. And it was an honor beyond belief for me to be able to go. But on one of my trips, and I'll never forget this till I die, you know, the day before and the morning of that I was to go, everything was going crazy. It was just bad. I mean, everything was just haywire as it could be in my life. So I get my Santa suit on, and I'm worried about all this other stuff, and I go down there, and all of a sudden they always whispered in my ear the name of the little kid that was coming up to sit on my lap. And here comes this chunky little kid with little glasses on and everything, and she's about probably 5 or 6 years old, and she's got pigtails, and she's got the biggest smile on her face in the world, and they said her name was Snowflake. And all of a sudden I said, are you Snowflake? And she said, yes. And she climbed up on my lap and just hugged me and looked right at me and said, Santa Claus, I wanted to tell you that I love you because I think you need that today. Aww. Now, then they turned to me and whispered in my ear that in just a matter of a very few days, she has to have brain surgery. Now, let me tell you, if anybody in here thinks that people and those children gained more from my experience at Crumpler than I did, you're wrong. It was terrific for me, and I loved every single second of it. And I'll come back this coming Christmas too, because you are doing the same thing in your own ways, many of you. You know, I see these kids up here, and they're impressive. And I see the struggles that you have, and it's tough. And I can tell you just this, and I'll be more specific and tell you 2 or 3 things. I am totally all in as far as education, and I've been that from day one. I've said over and over, and everybody looked at me and said, oh yeah, he'll just say that now, but he really won't really follow up, until all of a sudden my inaugural address, and then that caught everybody off guard, and everybody went, oh my gosh, what in the world's happening here? He's really for real. I think education needs to be our centerpiece. Now, listen to me. You know, my wife, you know, we went through all the inaugural stuff and everything, and there was hundreds of people lined up that wanted to get a picture with us or wanted to get their autograph and our autographs. And my wife said to me, she said, Jim, can you believe people are standing in these lines and wanting to stand there for 2 hours waiting to get our autograph? And I said to him this, and it refers to what this young man said about education in this country being free. Those people get the fact that it is meaningful that we are Americans. And it's meaningful, and something is stirring them in their heart to stand there for 2 hours to get a signature of somebody who a lot of people for a long time said, Jim's as common as an old shoe. And that's really all I want to be. You see, you don't have to sit on a throne and look down at people and do all that kind of stuff. The only way we're going to get out of this mess is all of us grab the rope together and pull the rope, and all of us run across the finish line together. But really and truly, we are Americans, and we're blessed. And we're West Virginians, and we're blessed. Now let me just say this. Your efforts are so gallant, it's unbelievable. Because you're doing it without the one ingredient that you have to have, and that's money. Like it or not like it, you're doing it with love, and you're doing it with nothing. Now, I'm going to be just as straightforward as I can possibly be when I tell you this. As hard as you try, and as much as you do, you have done something that you should be saluted forevermore. This young lady said our school is a great place where we can be happy and feel safe, and we've got friends, and we like our teachers, and our teachers love us. Did she not?
Yes.
Doing that and creating that atmosphere in this state today, and especially in McDowell County, is an accomplishment that you should be saluted with forevermore. Now, here's my job. This is my job. My job is to just say, come you know where or high water, we're going to shove education right to the forefront. We're going to make it our centerpiece, and we're going to fund it, and we're going to find a way that your job does not have to be so gallant, so much saluted. Now, you can still be saluted and still be gallant, but now it's my job. It's my job to make things better. Now, listen. Anybody that has told you things are bad in West Virginia, they only have part of the clue. Things are horrible in West Virginia. That's all there is to it. They're horrible. And if we absolutely don't come up with real ways and ideas and new creative thinking and think outside the box, we're going to never get out of this spin cycle. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'll make a bunch of mistakes. And I'll ask you to hurt with me and stand with me, because I'll make it better. And I won't make it better by Jim Justice making it better. I'll make it better because I'll rally people around me, and all of us together. This beautiful lady, this young man, Nelson, even though Nelson is calling somebody an animal, I can't believe it. How can you start off a speech with that, Nelson? Nelson has been a friend for 500 years. But listen, let me just say, this is not going to be easy, but it can be done. I look, and I just, not being in government, I haven't had the opportunity to really just sit and look at the books. But now I have. It's pitiful. It's just pitiful. And for us to think that what we can do is we can just take a little bit more flesh off of you guys, and some way, somehow, that's going to balance everything out, or we take a little bit more money out of the rainy day fund, or we'll just take this and that and everything, and some way, somehow, we'll get there. We're not going to get there like that. We're really not. Now, whether it be right or whether it be wrong, I would tell you just as straight up as I can possibly tell you that we've proven how to be dead last. We know how to do that. I mean, we absolutely have pitched 50th and 50th and 50th until I'm sick of it. And that's why I ran. That's all there is to it. And if you think that I'm doing this for anything whatsoever for myself, you're out of your mind. I mean, for crying out loud, if you own the Greenbrier Hotel, you're Elvis reincarnated. You surely don't need the status of the ego, and I don't need the money, so then why? Why put yourself through this? Well, I truly mean this. There may be somebody here that loves West Virginia as much as me, or loves kids as much as me, but there's nobody here that loves the kids or West Virginia more than me. And I am all in, and we can do this. You cannot keep pitching the same pitch and expect things to change. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. You know, absolutely, we have got to plot different courses and try them. Now, I would say this too. You know, your mountains here have produced and fueled our nation. I mean, that's all there is to it. You have absolutely powered our tanks and built our automobiles and on and on and on, right here in these great mountains of McDowell County. And really and truly what's happened, your resources have been extracted, the money's gone, and you stand here holding the bag and wondering what substitute's going to be in there teaching mathematics tomorrow. Now, you absolutely need to be so commended, it's unbelievable. But we've got to fix a lot of the fixing. This beautiful lady says people won't hardly come here because the potholes in the roads, they can't hardly even get here. Amen. Amen. How do we expect tourism to come to West Virginia, for God's sakes, a living? You've got to go on a scavenger hunt to be able to get here. And then once you're here, you're scared to death the whole time you're here because you're afraid of how in the world am I going to get out of there? Now, it just goes on and on and on. Now, I truly mean this. I believe the good ideas that I have come from the good Lord. And I'll take credit for the bad ones. And I come up with a bunch of bad ones and everything. And I pray every day that He'll keep me on the right and straight path and everything. And then I deviate off, and then I pray and everything that some way I'll get back on. We can do this. We really can do this. It's going to take all of us. And it's going to hurt a little bit. But it's going to take all of us. And we're going to have to believe that, just like I've said so many times, and then I'll be quiet. But you just think about this. Think about McDowell County. Forget West Virginia for a minute. Think about just McDowell County. I mean, I don't know that this is the right thing, and you'll find out with me. I'm not afraid of making mistakes. I'm somebody that's moving, and I'm going somewhere. Now, I've not vetted this. Hear that noise? Is that a bad noise?
Great noise.
It's a heck of a good noise, isn't it? Because there's actually a train coming here. There's people working that's putting that coal in that train. It's a good noise. Now, in making mistakes, let me just say this. In McDowell County, you forevermore have produced those tanks and those cars and energy beyond belief. And I truly believe that just maybe we ought to restructure, when we're restructuring our severance tax within our state, and we're restructuring and tiering a severance tax like I want to be able to do it. I want our companies that, if things are really bad, we've got as a state to be able to help them back and maybe pass on a lower severance tax. But just think about this. I'm in the coal business. You know, I know this stuff. And I could be shooting my own leg off here, but you know, my leg is not worth our state. It's just not worth our state. I want goodness for our state, irregardless about my leg. But here's the thing. What if coal prices were $200 a ton? Nobody's cost is greater than $80 a ton. At that point in time, our profit margins in the coal business for our coal operators become obscenely high. Why can't we pay more at that price? We should pay more. Absolutely, we should pay more. If the coal prices are $35 a ton and we're just hanging on and trying to get by, maybe we should pay less. Now, but here's another maybe. Maybe the county or counties that are providing that incredible resource, maybe they ought to get a small percentage of the severance tax directed just to the county. You know, we don't do that today, but we should look at that. Now, I want to just take one more minute, and I want you to just think about McDowell County and only McDowell County. Think about what I just said. What if we were mining a lot of coal in McDowell County, and severance tax dollars were divided up all over our state? But why in the world wouldn't we do this? Why wouldn't we say, if the severance tax, if prices were good, $140 a ton, and the severance tax on that was 7% instead of 5%, why couldn't you still get your regular share, but why couldn't you get 1/3% or 0.5% right off the front end that would come directly to McDowell County? I mean, you're the ones where the coal is coming from. You're the ones really and truly that are hurting so badly because you don't have a lot of other stuff. You need the Coalfield Expressway completed so bad.
Yes.
So bad. Let me end by just what I said a second ago over and over. Let's forget about West Virginia just a second and just think about McDowell County. What if I were to say to you, think about what these kids have said about how good things are in our schools in an area that is so depressed it's unbelievable. Just think if you were McDowell County versus South LA. This young lady said, we love our teachers, we love being at school. She indicated that we're safe there, we love our ball games, we love our sports, we love our community. Think about in South LA. Today, if you're going to public schools in South LA, you may encounter gangs and shootings and everything else under the sun, but what do those people think about McDowell County? What do they think? They think that, my God, we could never put our kids in McDowell County, West Virginia. There's no way. So in other words, what I'm saying to you is, now we're just thinking about McDowell County. There's a lot of good here. There's a lot of great, loving, good teachers, good kids, good sports programs, good mathematics being taught, beautiful caring and loving going on everywhere. But in addition to that, think about this. When you go outside in South LA, a lot of days you can't even see across the street because of the smog. When you go outside here and you look up on these mountains, you see 4 of the most unbelievable seasons, and the most unbelievable place is paradise. It really is. Now think about this too. In South LA, what resources do they abound with? And you abound with everything. And here, you're within 600 miles of 2/3 of the population of the whole United States. You know, and the last thing I would say is just this. Just like Nelson, just like so many in here, you're craftsmen, you're good people, you're faith-based, you're snowflake. You're really the people that care and love. We're West Virginians. McDowell County, the place that is struggling more than any place on the planet just about today, and yet think of the good that is all around you. Think about just this last thing. Think about if we had funding and we had education really moving and we had a road system. Do you realize that people would come from far and near to McDowell County? It would give us hope. It would eradicate our drugs. It would give us so much. It can absolutely be done. You have so much to offer right now. You are doing so many good things right now. The problem is you're doing it with wooden nickels. You're doing it with nothing. You're absolutely making a living on a rock. You're doing it with nothing. Absolutely, it's my job to see that you're not doing it with nothing. And I will give you all I have in me, every ounce of me in every way, to see that that happens. You deserve it. You're really good. And you young people, have faith. I want to make things to where you'll want to come back to McDowell County, because it'll be the greatest place on earth to live, not the place we need to get away from. I truly mean this. I love you. And I'll do everything in my power to help. And we'll get this done. My last would be my dad, honest to Pete. I stood in front of his desk when I was about 18 years old, and stand up please. And I was skinnier than this guy. So you see what can happen to you. But as I stood in front of his desk, I said, Dad, there wasn't anything I could do. And Dad played football for Purdue a little bit. And he was an Air Force captain. He was about 6 foot tall. He was big chest and big, strong arms. He had a coat and tie on just like this. I was probably standing in front of him in flip-flops and cut-off jeans. And all of a sudden, the whole desk exploded as he jumped across the desk and grabbed me by my shirt and slammed me down on the desk and said, damn you, there's always something you can do, and you better damn well always remember that. Well, listen, you've got an 18-karat bulldog that won't give up. And that's the way I grew up. And my dad would say over and over and over, son, don't confuse effort with accomplishment. Don't confuse effort with accomplishment. It doesn't matter to me. It does not matter to me that you just try hard. I want you to achieve. And that's how I grew up. Now, my dad was my best man in my wedding. The lady sang Wind Beneath My Wings at his funeral, and we had her sing that at the inauguration. And it brought big tears down my face because I miss him so much, it's unbelievable. And by no means did my dad beat me. Because like I said, he was my best man at my wedding. Now my mom did. And I deserved every bit of it. But anyway, I'll shut up. I love you, and I thank you, and we're going to get this done. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you so much.